thank Jessie Fry and her band, great music. Let me thank Dante Morellis. Thank you very much, Dante, for singing the national anthem. Let me thank Carl Kearney for his remarks. Let me thank Priscilla Yeverino for her remarks. Let me thank David Garcia Rodriguez for his remarks. And let me thank an old friend who I think we're going to make Secretary of the Commerce. Make sure that everybody has a pint of Ben and Jerry's in their freezer. Thank Ben Cohen. And let me thank Sister Nina Turner. I love Nina, but the only problem with Nina is I got to follow her. And that's a pretty hard thing to do. But I want you to know that over the last several years, Nina Turner has been running all over this country, doing the most important work that any American can do. And that is demanding that young people, working people, people of all colors, stand up and fight for their rights. Thank you, Nina Turner. And on this beautiful day, I'm not used to the sunshine, I come from Vermont. But on this beautiful day, I want to thank all of you for coming out to be part of a political revolution. And what this political revolution is about, and I use those words advisedly, is not just winning the Democratic nomination for president. It is not just defeating the most dangerous president in the history of our country, Donald Trump. But this campaign is about something more than that. It is about understanding that if we stand together, black and white and Latino and Native American and Asian American, if we stand together as gay and straight, native-born and immigrant, if we stand together and keep our eyes on the prize, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. I want to say that yesterday we had a great rally in Houston, and I'm here in Fort Worth for one simple reason. And that is that I believe we can and will defeat Donald Trump here in Texas. And let me tell you why I think we are gonna defeat Trump here, and we're going to beat him all over this country. And that is that the American people, including people here in Texas who voted for Trump, understand increasingly that he is a pathological liar and a fraud. I understand why people voted for Trump. People are hurting. And Trump said, hey, I'm going to come in and I'm going to take on the establishment. I'm going to stand up for working people. Well, Trump has told many, many lies since he ran for president. But the biggest lie that he told was that he was going to stand up for the working class of this country. A profound and ugly lie. So I say to President Trump, you don't stand up for the working class of this country when you tell them during a campaign you're going to provide health care to everybody. Remember that? Yeah. Well, he didn't provide health care to everybody. In fact, he tried to throw 32 million Americans off of the health care they already have. Trump said, hey, I'm a different type of Republican. I'm not going to cut Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. Lie. The budget that he brought forth called for $1.5 trillion cut in Medicaid, $845 billion in Medicare and billions of dollars in cuts in Social Security. And you're not standing up for working families when you also propose massive cuts to education, housing, and every other program that working families need. Donald Trump, when he ran for president, he came here to Texas, he said, I'm going to pass a tax bill. It's not going to benefit the wealthy, it'll work for the working families. Lie! Trump's tax bill gave 83% of its benefits over a 10-year period to the top 1%. Anybody here happen to know how much Amazon paid in taxes last year? Zero. Amazon made $11 billion in profits last year, owned by the wealthiest man in America, paying zero in federal taxes. That is not President Trump standing up for working families. But our campaign is not just about Donald Trump. Our campaign is about creating an economy and creating a government that works for all, not just the 1%. Beautiful day. I want to tell you, and I want to welcome you to a campaign which says with confidence, with optimism, and with love that the underlying principles of our government will not be greed, will not be hatred, will not be lies. The underlying principles of our government will not be racism, will not be sexism, will not be homophobia, will not be xenophobia, will not be religious bigotry. Brothers and sisters, we are going to end those ugly anti-American sentiments, and we're going to end them soon. Of our government will be. Our government will be based on the principles of justice, economic justice, racial justice, social justice, and environmental justice. And let me tell you what justice means. And not a whole lot of candidates talk about it. You don't hear about it in the Congress. You don't see it much on TV. But that is that we are going to end the trend in this country toward an oligarchic form of government. A government in which we have more income and wealth inequality than any other major country on earth, and it is worse here in America today than at any time since the 1920s. Now we're going to talk about that issue, and we're going to talk about the obscenity of 3 families in America, 1, 2, 3, owning more wealth than the bottom half of America, 160 million people. Does that sound like the America that we want? In America today, the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 92%. At the same time, as 20% of our children live in poverty, at the same time as veterans who put their lives on the line to defend us sleep out on street corners all across this country, and at the same time as 34 million Americans have no health insurance. Justice is not about nearly 20% of people in Texas under 65 not having health insurance while most of them are working.
Eat the rich!
Justice and the fight for justice means we will not accept an economy in which 46% of all new income goes to the top 1%, while people in Texas and Vermont are working 2 or 3 jobs to put food on the table, and half of our country, half of our people are working paycheck to paycheck.
That's right!
Justice means that we are sick and tired of an economy in which the CEOs of large corporations now make 300 times what their workers are earning. And meanwhile, while the very, very rich get richer and enjoy Trump's, did I say chumps? Trump's tax breaks, 500,000 fellow Americans are sleeping out on the streets, and so many of our fellow Americans are living in despair, have given up hope that life expectancy in America is actually going down. Justice means that we will not allow 25 hedge fund managers to make double the amount of money than all of the kindergarten teachers in this country. And justice means that we are going to end the institutional racism that exists all over this country. So in the midst of all of the big disparities, we also have racial disparities. We have white families owning 10 times the wealth of black families. We have infant mortality rates in the black community 2.5 times higher than in the white communities. We have black businesses who cannot get the loans they need to expand. We are going to change that, and we are going to lead the effort to end racism and discrimination in the United States of America. To the young people who are here and the young people of this country. You are the most progressive generation in the history of the United States of America. I am proud of you, and you should be proud of yourselves. You are the most anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobic generation in the history of this country. But there's something else about the young generation, and that is, if we do not turn this economy around for the first time in the modern history of our nation, your generation will have a lower standard of living than your parents. There's something weird about that. We're seeing an explosion of technology. We're seeing an explosion in worker productivity, and yet everything being equal, the younger generation will have less income, they'll have more debt, they'll be less likely to afford a home. Well, I don't believe in downward mobility. Mobility, and we are going to create an economy that works for all of us, including our younger generation. Well, brothers and sisters, this campaign and our presidency is not just about economic justice, it is about political justice as well. Now, to my mind, when I talk about democracy, I'm talking about one person, one vote, not about billionaires buying elections. we are going to end a corrupt political system which allows the very rich to get richer because of their political influence. We are going to overturn Citizens United. And we are going to move toward public funding of elections. The other day I was roundly criticized for saying something that I think is common sense. And I think that every American citizen, because of their citizenship, should have the right to vote even if they're in jail. I think the right to vote is what being an American citizen is about. And if you commit a terrible crime, you're going to pay the price. But that does not mean that your right to participate in our democracy is taken away from you. I was roundly criticized by this, but you know what? Once you begin taking away somebody's right to vote, you're moving down a slippery slope. You committed a crime, you can't vote. You're poor, you can't vote. Remember 100 years ago, women in America didn't have the right to vote. Remember 70 years ago, our African American brothers and sisters had to put their lives on the line to get the right to vote. Remember the poll taxes all across this country denying poor people the right to vote. And what we are seeing now, and make no mistake about it, this is what Trump is about, and this is what Republican cowardly governors all over America are about. See, these guys don't have the guts to run on their principles. They don't go before the American people and say, hey, I'm a proud Republican. I'm going to cut your Social Security. I'm going to cut your Medicare. I'm going to cut Medicaid, and I'm going to give tax breaks to billionaires. That is not an ad you're going to see on TV. But what they will do, whether it is in Florida right now, people in Florida voted by over 60% to allow felons, people who served their time, to vote. And the Florida legislature is trying to rescind what the people did. I came from New Hampshire the other day. They are working overtime to make it harder for young people to vote. In the state of Georgia, an election was stolen because people did not have the right to vote and they were denied access to the polling place. So what we believe, unlike our Republican friends, we are not afraid of our ideas. We think that people support our agenda. We don't have to suppress the vote. In fact, we want more people to participate in the political process. So our view on voting rights is very simple. And that is, if you're an American citizen and you're 18 years of age, you have the right to vote. End of discussion. Now, what this campaign is about is not only bringing forth an agenda that works for working people, but it is also about a political revolution which understands a very profound point, which is encapsulated in our message of not me, but us. And that is, Nina Turner made this point. If we want legislation to protect working families, we're going to have to stand up and fight against some of the most powerful special interests in the world. the greed of corporate America and Wall Street and the insurance companies and the drug companies and the military-industrial complex and the fossil fuel industry is such that no president can do it alone. We're in this together. And when we talk about a political revolution, it means that in this unprecedented moment in American history, we all need to act in an unprecedented way. That means, this is what it means. It means going out and talking to your friends, even if they don't agree with you. It means getting people registered to vote. You know, we got a couple of thousand people here. Each one of you registers 3 people. That makes 6,000 people registered to vote. And the reason we need to do that, the reason that we need to put together an unprecedented grassroots campaign is that I know the day after the inauguration, we'll have all of these special interests uniting, trying to prevent us from doing what the American people want. But this is what I also know. The 1% has unlimited wealth, and they have a hell of a lot of power. And I may not be a prize-winning mathematician, but I do know that 99% is a bigger number than 1%. About what a progressive agenda means. It means that we are going to tell the private insurance companies, whether they like it or not, that the United States of America is going to join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people as a right, not a privilege. Thousands of people in America are dying every year because they don't get to a doctor when they should. People are going bankrupt when they go into a hospital. And at the end of all of that, we end up spending twice as much per capita on health care as do the people of any other nation. The goal of health care must be to provide quality care to all in a cost-effective way, not tens of billions of dollars in profits for the insurance companies and outrageous compensation packages for their CEOs. Listen to this. In 2017, the top 65 CEOs, healthcare CEOs, made $1.7 billion in compensation. CEO of Aetna managed to get a $500 million bonus for putting together a merger between Aetna and CVS, which will raise healthcare costs in America. $500 million to one guy. Well, we have a different idea about healthcare. Healthcare is not about profits for insurance companies and drug companies. Healthcare means quality care to every man, woman, and child, guaranteed as a right. There was an article in the paper today. The insurance companies and the drug companies are going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it'll be much more than that, trying to defeat Medicare for all. But if we stand together, we're going to win that important fight. Brothers and sisters, when we ask ourselves why the middle class is shrinking, it has everything to do with the fact that millions of our people are working for starvation wages. And we're sick and tired of an economy in which people have to work 2 or 3 jobs at $8, $9, $10 an hour. Our job is to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. This is the United States of America. We should not have an infrastructure, roads and bridges and water systems and wastewater plants and rail, which is crumbling before our eyes. We're going to invest $1 trillion to rebuild that infrastructure, and in the process, we're going to create up to 15 million good-paying jobs, and many of them are going to be union jobs. Four years ago, when I was here in Texas, I proposed what I didn't think was a terribly radical idea, but some did. And I said that in a competitive global economy, we have got to make sure that all of our people, regardless of their income, can get a higher education. And that means college for some, it means trade school for others. A lot of good jobs out there, being a carpenter, a sheet metal worker, or a plumber. And we have got to make sure that our young people get that training. And what I said 4 years ago seemed like a radical idea, that I said we should make public colleges and universities tuition-free and substantially reduce student debt in this country. Outside of the box, how insane it is that millions of people in this country are $40, $50, $100,000 in debt. For what crime did they commit? For trying to get a decent education and make it into the middle class. We're going to reduce that debt very substantially. Today, and I know what state I am in, we are going to take on Trump and the fossil fuel industry. The American people and the people of Texas understand that climate change is not a hoax, but is a massive threat to our country and, in fact, to the entire world. What they are telling us is that climate change is real, it is caused by human activity, and it is already causing devastating problems in America and around the world. We have a moral responsibility to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable for our kids and our grandchildren. That means we're going to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energies. And when we do that, we understand that the workers in the fossil fuel industry, they're not our enemy. Climate change is our enemy, and we're going to protect those workers in a transition to other jobs. Today we say to the prison industrial complex that we are tired of having more people in jail than any other major country on earth, and that we are going to fight and pass